Assalamu alaikum. We welcome you to the Wednesday special presentation with Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer. We want to once again welcome you to the special live presentation of our domestic violence awareness month program. And so we're going to introduce our special guest speaker for this evening, Sister Latifah A. Hameen. Ms. Hameen is a victorious survivor of abuse. She is also a certified life and relationship coach, certified domestic abuse awareness trainer, self-talk trainer, author, poet, educator, and motivational speaker. She started Healthy Positive Choices, HPC, in 2007, a 501c3 nonprofit offering intervention tools to help educate teens and young adults on the dangers of domestic violence while advocating healthy relationships. She has developed and implemented a 6-hour certification training course on domestic violence awareness and a 3-hour hands-on couples workshop. She is a doctoral candidate in leadership. She also has the following degrees: Master of Art in Human Behavior and Development, Bachelor of Science in Community Education, and an Associates of Arts in General. Ms. Hameen is a published author of 8 books, 5 on domestic violence, 2 on healthy relationships, and 1 poetry book. So without further ado, we want to welcome Sister Latifah A. Hameen. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Hameen.
Wa alaikum assalam, and thank you so much, Brother Elijah, for this opportunity to come before you all this evening. Assalamu alaikum, listening audience. Thank you for joining in. With the name of God, most gracious, most merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but God, Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the last prophet and messenger. Allah's messenger, alhamdulillah. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, which means peace be unto you and the mercy of God. I want to thank again Wharfdeen Muhammad Masjid for this opportunity to share some education on domestic violence awareness this evening. A life lived, not a life lost. That's my theme this evening. Think about it for a minute. How does that tie in with domestic violence? Domestic violence, it robs many people from a productive life lived. So it becomes a life lost. I'm here today standing before you to tell you that I took my life back and I have a life lived. I am a victorious survivor of domestic violence. There are many people who have not survived or are still a victim of domestic violence and a life still lost. Did you know that according to the National Violence Against Women Survey, that 25% of women and 7.6% of men reported being victims of intimate partner violence at some point in their lives? There is an estimated 28 million battered women in the United States, more than half of all married women in the country. In the United States, one woman is beaten by her husband or intimate partner every 9 seconds. A child exposed to the father abusing the mother is at the strongest risk for transmitting violent behavior from one generation to the next. Battering is the single major cause of injury to women between the ages of 15 and 44 in the United States, more than car accidents, muggings, and rapes combined. Now let's look at some of the teen statistics. Approximately 1 in 5 adolescents report being a victim of emotional abuse. Approximately 1 in 5 high school girls have been physically or sexually abused by a dating partner. Nearly 80% of girls who have been victims of physical abuse in a dating relationship continues to date their abusers. These are alarming statistics, but only a fraction of the total abuse going on in the United States. Well, my introduction of abuse, unfortunately, started when I was a little girl. I wasn't directly abused, but indirectly by my father, who I developed a love-hate relationship with. When he was drinking alcohol, he had the tendency to start fights with my mom. I was so scared, I used to go in the closet and put my hands up to my ears to try to drown out the noise of the arguments. Sometimes it got physically violent. At that time, hate pierced through me for my father because he was drinking and he disrupted the family unit. But when he wasn't drinking, he was really a nice man. So I began to love him again because I hated him when that was going on. But the next day, I started to love him again because I know he was a loving man and father. This went on in and out, up and down throughout my childhood. I was raised with 10 brothers and sisters. I didn't know abuse would affect me the way it did in my adult life because I knew nothing about abuse growing up. I thought it was a normal behavior to argue, fuss, and fight. I wasn't educated on abuse at all. It was never talked about in my household. Whenever there was a physical encounter or name calling of family members or spouses, it was justified by making excuses for the person's behavior. We sucked it up and kept moving and never discussed it. That's why I suffered in silence, because I felt invisible and no one would address my concerns. I didn't know the first step about how to get help. It was like a pink elephant in the middle of the room. Everybody saw it, but no one said anything as though it wasn't there. I didn't know how bad it was until I became an adult and formed my own relationships. I was attracted to men that were similar to my father. They were kind initially, yet when they were angry, they did a 180-degree turnaround. I would like a man if he was nice initially, but somehow my comfort level wasn't there until there was some kind of commotion, some fussing, some fighting, some kind of rudeness. Because although I didn't feel it was right, that was a comfort level for me. I was indirectly affected by my father's abuse, but it was like it was happening to me directly because it was something that I followed once I became an adult. Once I was in relationships, deep in the relationship, I began to see the real person. And many times he wasn't what I envisioned. Because in my mind, I had my fantasy of what I wanted, but yet the reality soon showed up. And I stayed in the abuse, kept hoping that he would change. I was a dysfunctional, and the men that I chose was of the same caliber. It seemed to work to my benefit, but it was to my detriment. When the abuse was too much, I got out of the relationship only to get into another similar one. I kept marrying the same man over and over again. Nothing had changed, and I was basically in and out of relationships with the same kind of man. It was so much drama, and I was so busy fighting my way out of the abuse and blaming the man and being the victim that I couldn't see that I was a common denominator in all of my abusive relationships. It was a cycle of destructive behavior for many years. The choices I made were a direct result of my unhealthy, dysfunctional life style of abuse. I didn't know it at the time that there was a cycle of abuse, and it will keep repeating until that cycle is broken. There are three stages in the abuse cycle. The first stage is called the tension building. This is the sign that you know something is wrong with this relationship. So you begin to try to fix it. You notice that there's a lot of tension. That's why we call it tension building. You try to subside any kind of tension, any kind of problems, try to walk on eggshells, so to speak. You make allowances for your partner's behavior and you try to diffuse an argument. You walk on those eggshells. And even if you have children, you try to keep the children down. Everything is just so much tension and you feel it in the air every time something happens. So every time that partner is in the room, it's like you can cut it with a knife. It's so thick. And then the second stage is what we call the crucial incident, where abuse takes place. And abuse is in many forms, not just one form. There are various forms. Well, we know that physical is the most noticeable. That's the hitting and the shoving and the kicking and things like that. In this society, it says that if you're not getting beat, then you're not abused. And that's what I thought as I got older. I was like, well, I'm not getting beat. So maybe I'm not being abused because I didn't know. And then besides the physical, there's emotional and mental. Emotional abuse is like silence. Even when your mate is silent and won't say anything to you and just ignore you like you're not there, that's a form of abuse. The aim of emotional abuse is to chip away at your self-worth and independence. It leaves you feeling helpless. And you feel like, that, wow, I don't feel, you feel empty inside. That's emotional and mental abuse. Then you have verbal. That's that name calling, condescending, putting you down, acting like you don't know anything. Just let me do all the talking. Financial abuse, withholding money or making you accountable for every dime that you spend. Sexual abuse, only for the abuser's gratification. There's no consideration for the victim. Spiritual, no choice on what religion, what and how to worship. It's all about the abuser. Social is limited or no contact with family, friends, or social activities. None. That, sometimes you may have a partner that says, oh, don't go over so-and-so's house. Don't be with your friends. Don't be with your family because they only are jealous of our relationship because they don't want anyone to talk with you. So may convince you that this is not right, what's going on. And then we have digital or cyber abuse. That's a growing problem today. It's all mental and visual, and it's called digital or cyber abuse. It occurs online via social media through the texting. That's something that's going on too, the texting, to make you, to disrespect you on social media, lowers your partner's self-esteem. So this person can get the upper hand and they hack into the email, Facebook, and pretend to be hurtful for hurtful purposes, therefore causing emotional distress. In a study from the Urban Institute, researchers surveyed 5,647 adults, young adults, in 10 Northeastern schools, and 26% of dating teens reported online abuse by his or her partner, and 17% were bullied. Think about that. The third stage is the honeymoon stage. The third stage, the reason why it is called the honeymoon stage, because it is the most deceptive stage of them all. This is after the abuse. Apologies are in the air. He or she promises not to do it again. That's the makeup stage. Everything is nice, but it only lasts a short time because remember, you're in a cycle, and that cycle is going to start back over again unless it is broken. All it does is put a bandage on the problem. The tension eventually starts to build again, and the cycle starts all over. An abusive relationship will continue for a lifetime unless someone breaks the cycle or death occurs. When I didn't stop the abuse by removing myself from the relationship, I was non-verbally telling my abuser his behavior was acceptable. When I gave over my control to him, it triggered the cycle of abuse over and over again. When I was going through the abuse, it was not talked about much and it was swept under the rug, like I said before. And when we accepted it, then I was accepting it as though it was normal behavior. But I had to make a conscious effort to make that decision to stop the cycle and get out. There's an illusion that the relationship will be better in that honeymoon stage or he or she will change. But the reality is, it just starts back over again. It's just a matter of time. The victim feels that the love is strong enough to change the abuser, but it's not. The abuser uses apologies and gift giving, which is a ploy to take the visit or make the victim vulnerable and hoping to maintain control for the victim in the relationship. He or she turns on the manipulation and the charm. This gives the victim hope because you know you want it so badly, you want it to change, and it gives you hope. But you know in the back of your mind that nothing has changed. This person hasn't changed. They've had abuse. They have a form of abuse that they have committed towards you, and they may leave the house, or something may happen, or whatever the case may be with the abuse. There's many forms of it, and then after that abuse, then here comes the makeup. But you know that that person hasn't changed anything. You keep hoping in the back of your mind that that person has seen the light. But what has changed? Nothing has changed. And because nothing has changed, it's just a matter of time before it will start over and over again. And you can say, oh, I didn't give this person permission to abuse me. But when you don't say anything, you are non-verbally saying it's okay because I didn't say anything about it. I didn't stop you when you were doing it. I might have been afraid or whatever, but I still didn't stop you. And that's a problem. Okay? We have abusers. Abusers, they have many, many ways that they can keep a victim or control a victim. And they can stop this behavior. They know when and where to abuse you, when not to abuse you. They pick and choose who they will abuse. They don't abuse everybody that they come in contact with. They know who to abuse. I mean, and you're saying, well, I didn't tell that person to abuse me, or I didn't let them abuse me. But abusers know, they study people and they know who they can abuse. First, they'll try a little something. And if you don't say nothing, they'll try something else. And if you don't say anything, they'll just go all the way. And if you don't do anything about it or say anything, they will continue. And so they know when and who to abuse. They can stop this abuse when it benefits them. They're not out of control. They are able to stop it to their advantage. Say when a policeman comes to the door, you all having a fight, and maybe he's talking down to you, condescending, maybe hitting you. Police come, say, I heard there was some disturbance, and you know the man or woman just straightens himself up and says, "No, officer, there's nothing going on." You see, they know how to do this. So violent abusers direct their blows also to places that they know that are not visible. And abusive behavior and violence is an abuser's choice. And they use several tactics. They use dominance to dominate the situation, to dominate the control over the relationship. They use humiliation. They try to make the victim feel worthless. Isolation, in order to increase the dependency on him or her, an abusive partner will cut you off from family and friends. Threats. They'll make threats. They may have a gun, sit a gun down and say, if you leave me or this happens, I'm going to kill everyone. Intimidation. A variety of tactics may be used to scare you to submission by the abuser. Threatening looks, gestures, smashing and destroying things. Then there's denial and blame. The abuser may blame the victim or may blame their abuse on a bad childhood, or you made me do this. If you would have never said this, then I would have never done that. Abusers don't want to take the blame for their behaviors. And I'm going to flip it just a moment and talk a little bit about women. Women can be abusers too, believe it or not. The U.S. survey indicates that young women are 3 times likely to admit hitting their partner than men. 1 in 7 women aged 15 to 22 admits to hitting their partner compared to just 20 men. Pop culture gives the impression it is cute or empowering or even sexy when women hit men. The scene, if it was reversed, would carry male abuse. According to the recent British survey, as much as a third of domestic violence in the UK is female on male. When it comes to abuse, the size of the bruises and the amount of blood doesn't measure the effect of the violence, because condescending, control, or intimidation are all part of abuse. So when it comes to emotional abuse, men are affected more by it than physical abuse. And the goal of an abusive woman is to control the man. She uses her abusive behavior to manipulate the man into submission or compliance with her will. She may be verbally abusive by name calling, throwing things, condescending, by calling him names, telling him stupid, telling him he's never amount to anything. So sometimes there will be bruises, but most of the time, most men are affected more by the emotional abuse from a woman than anything. So men and women alike can be abusers. There is help for the abuser if he or she really wants to. If an abuser wants help, he or she may do the following. First, they have to admit and take responsibility for being an abuser. Then go into treatment or therapy without the victim. And no promises or strings should be attached with the victim. If I go, will you wait for me? Will you be here for me? No. No promises should be made. It cannot be conditional. If the abuser completes the program, the victim will take him back. No, that you can't not have any conditions. The abuser has to get help for him or herself and no one else. So you cannot do it for anyone else. You have to do it for yourself. All right. Now I'm going to take a look at the red flags. I want to get some questions as well, but I want to let me finish up the red flags and then talk a little bit about the people. Why do people stay in domestic violence? Now, when we say red flags, what does that mean? Red flags is warning signs. Let me give you a few of them. If you have someone, say you're talking to someone for marriage, and and this person always wants to control the situation, red flag. Has a quick temper, red flag. Have extreme mood swings, maybe oh so loving over here, but then they may be another way in just a snap of a hand. When you go somewhere, watch how that person talks to people, how they treat people. Are they snappy? Are they rude? Are they obnoxious? Look for that. Constantly checks up on you. Gets too serious too fast. Now, I know as Muslims, some of us out there, I know we say we should get married, but if somebody meets you today and want to marry you next week, that's a red flag. All right? Puts you down in front of others. Red flag. Acts jealous and possessive towards you. Do you know there are two most obvious signs of abuse? Those are the two: jealousy and possessiveness. The two most obvious signs of abuse. When you know warning signs prior to getting into a serious relationship, it helps you to identify potential for abuse. Keep your eyes open and study these signs before you get into a relationship. I always say, once your emotions are involved in a relationship, then you lose sight of the rationale. You cannot think rational when you're emotional. I want to say that again. You cannot think rational when you're emotional. You can't make rational decisions because you're making them out of emotions. So before you get involved emotionally, stand back and observe that situation. You know, this is something that we're doing. Marriage is something that should be a lifetime. It's not something that you jump in and out of. And sometimes people make that. They jump in and out. Oh, if this doesn't work, I can get out and get somewhere else. I'm telling you, I did it. It doesn't work. All right. Now let's examine why people stay in abusive relationships. And tonight I'm just giving you a tip of the iceberg. There's so much to know and to learn about domestic violence awareness. Okay, let's examine why people stay in abusive relationships. Social status, to maintain status as a couple among friends. Low self-esteem. Learn to be helpless. They have no courage to leave. They think abuse is love. The victim gets attention from abuse and mistakes it for love. He really cares about me. He calls me every time I leave the house. He want to know where I am. He's just so concerned. Red flag. Fear. One fears for his or her life, and that's real. And people do fear for their lives. It's another reason people stay. Embarrassment. Doesn't want anyone to know of the abuse because of a negative perception. And I can say, you know, a lot of times I would stay because I was so embarrassed. I didn't want anybody to know. This is so embarrassing to know that I am being abused. And to think his or her love will change the partner. Keep hoping the partner will change if I just love him or her just a little bit more. Maybe, just maybe, this person will change. If I have a little bit more patience. But we have to understand, any of us, we have to do it for ourselves. You cannot do it for someone else because it won't work. You have to go within yourself. You go from the outside, you have to go from the inside out. You have to start on the inside. Now, how does a person escape an abusive relationship? Like I said, I'm giving you like a short version of everything because I just want to give you some main points. How do you escape an abusive relationship? The first thing you want to do is you tell a trustworthy friend, a family member. You want somebody to know what's going on. So get someone you can trust. Have several places set up if you need to get away quickly. Build a monetary money, save all the extra money you can. Now, I know sometimes people they have children, they're in it and they're crying, they want to get out of it. I'm saying this is some of the things that you can do. You have to prepare. Sometimes people can just walk away. And sometimes it's hard for some people to walk away, and I understand that. I have been there. So I know. People say, well, you don't understand. I do understand. And I'm telling you, I know sometimes people just can't walk away. So I'm saying these are some things that you can do if you're in that kind of situation. Have a working cell. Have a number that the abuser doesn't know anything about. Have a working cell. Have numbers to local shelters and a trusted friend or family on speed dial. Just tap a number and the phone rings. Keep a bag packed for you and your children. You have children at a friend's house. This is that trusted friend. You want to have that bag packed just in case you need to get out of there ASAP. Get a restraining order if necessary. Sometimes you have to call the law. Call the law. But when you call, make sure you're ready to leave that situation. So how would you start to rebuild your life? Okay. You know, when you think, even when you're in it and when you're trying to get out, sometimes you need to start loving yourself again. So you got to love the inner you. So how do I do that when I've been drugged down, I've been beat down, I've learned to be helpless? Well, you want to start by never criticizing yourself. Because I used to do that. I've been there. What I tell you, I know because I lived it. Stop criticizing yourself. You know, I used to get daily affirmations. I put them in the car, put them on the computer, put them in the bathroom, put them on the refrigerator. I love myself. I love you. You are wonderful. You are beautiful. You are, whatever you want to say about yourself. Practice mirror work. Say, I love you. I love you. Tell yourself that. Get in the habit of loving who you are. Stay in the attitude of gratitude every day. Say what you're grateful for, because we all have something to be grateful for. Practice daily meditation, the deep breathing. Sometimes just sitting there for 5 minutes and breathing in and out for 5 minutes. Close your eyes and take everything away. That meditation is good. It clears your mind, even if it's only for 5 minutes. Constantly and always improve upon yourself every day. Do something to improve upon your life, even if it's something small. Continue to grow. Continue to grow and make it where you can continue to grow. Take time to discover the love within and know that you deserve the best. Keep joy in your life and enjoy it where you are right now. Keep looking for the good within and pull it out front and move forward in a positive direction. Be good to yourself. Be good to yourself. All right, domestic violence hotline. If any of you would like the domestic violence hotline, 1-800-799-7233. for resources and help for abuse in your city. Again, 1-800-799-7233. 1-800-799-7233. And I think I'm still on the computer. I hope you all can hear me. But I want to leave you with a poem of self-love from The Awakening of Your Soul, one of my poetry books. When self-love is truly there, you will feel it through and through. It will be the spirit that dwells inside of you. When self-love is truly within, you'll know happiness because it will be part of your being. When self-love is truly there, it's like a ray of hope in the air. When you walk in the room, confidence will shine. You'll be rare like a fine wine. No need to say a word. It will be on your, in your smile, on your face, and you will glide with such grace. When self-love is truly there, you'll have self-respect, which commands that you be treated the best. When someone does otherwise, you will quickly rise and politely excuse yourself because this is something you won't accept. When self-love is truly there, self-esteem will be the best because you won't settle for anything less. Do you have self-love? Alhamdulillah. And I don't know, we have some, I like to take some questions. If anyone has any questions or any comments, please, I will.
Alhamdulillah, Sister Latifah. Oh, wonderful,
I
wonderful.
froze.
No, yes, Alhamdulillah, you are still on. It came through, Alhamdulillah, very clear. And we do have some questions, and if you would look in the comments section, or I can read the questions for you.
Okay, I see. All right, let me go back up here at the front here. Abusers create other abusers. How do we break the cycle? Well, you know, I talk a little bit about the abusers creating other abusers. I call it generational abuse. And I have in one of my books, and it talks about that. When someone has to be able to break that cycle when they see that abuse going on, especially if it's in the family. Someone has to go to other family members and talk about that. And we talked about, in the book, I talked about having intervention, having an intervention if possible, going to talk with someone, a therapist that can come in the home and talk to the abuser. But I would suggest trying to talk to the abuser first and trying to stop that cycle, because I believe that that was happening for me and my family. And so I came and said no. You know, I started talking about it. It was years later, but now that we have all of this information, we can stop this abuse. Someone has to go to the abuse and has to talk to them. And it has to be more than one person. And then when they go to them, and if they're not listening, then you have to gather the family together and do intervention. Maybe get someone to come in, a therapist, or get someone, a family member, a trusted member, to come in and have an intervention. Okay. We have, okay, sister was talking about that. Let me see here. How can a bystander help someone going through domestic violence? You know, it's a bystander. I try, or I have been in situations, maybe not as a bystander, but I've been called in situations where I've sat down and talked to the sister, or maybe the sister and the brother. And so, you know, it's a hard thing. The one thing that I find most heartbreaking is when I sit down, say, with the sister, and she's having and she's being abused, and she doesn't want to see it. That's the only thing. You cannot make someone see it. It's like going up against a brick wall and hitting a brick wall until the person admits that they're being abused. There's nothing you can do. And I know it sounds like you're giving up, but that's the truth. You can't make someone, a grown person, you can't make them leave a situation. If they don't feel like they're being abused, then there's nothing you can do until they admit. It's like an alcoholic. If the alcoholic doesn't admit that they're an alcoholic, there's nothing you can do about it. Because if they don't see it, then you can't see it for them. And that's the same with abuse. I talk to women, well, he doesn't do this, or he'll only do this at this time, and they don't see it. And I can't make them see it. And that's the hurting part about doing this work, is that you can't make someone eyes come open. All right. Hope I answered that question. That's all I see so far. Brother Elijah, do you see any more?
No, I don't. So we'll just make it known once again to our listening audience. If you have a question for Sister Latifah, please post it in the comments, and she will address the question as best as she can, inshallah. And also, Sister Latifah, while we're waiting, do you want to talk about some of the tools and resources that because I noticed that you said, of course, that you was just speaking at the tip of the iceberg, like what this topic needs. You can't do it justice in the small amount of time that we have. So do you have some tools and resources that you can share with the audience that they can use, they can benefit from?
Well, you know, like if say, for instance, they want to get out of this domestic violence and they want to rebuild their lives, again, I want to give that number again so that I can, this is to help with any resources, whatever city you're in, because this is all over. That 1-800-799-7233. And, you know, and I'll give, I have a survey that I give to people as well, for anyone that may think or don't know if they're in an abusive relationship. So I do have a survey, and if anyone is interested in getting that survey, please email me my email across the board there, and I will send that to you via email if you're interested in getting that. But there is so much work. I'll talk about a little bit about what to do once you are out of a relationship. How do you rebuild your life? Because that was the thing for me, is like rebuilding your life. There you are, and you know you've gotten out of this relationship, this domestic abuse. What do? How do you rebuild yourself? How do you become whole again? You've been shattered into pieces. How do you make yourself whole again? Right? So I wanted to pick. All right. So one of my the book, Abuse Awareness, Removing the Cover. These are some of the checkpoints for helping to build a healthy self-worth. You have to be competent in what you say and do, precise and efficient. Be capable about your abilities. Learn skills to grow and develop. Be confident about who you are. Feel good on the inside. Self-esteem is built in small successes. Count your every success. Your worth as a human being is your birthright. No one can give or take that away from you. It comes when you are born, and it's yours until your last breath. You are worthy of happiness and respect in this world. You are an important person with great worth who deserves to be treated well. When you have self-love, you take responsibility for what you bring into your life. You have to be realistic in handling obstacles while continuing to be positive and moving in the direction of your success. You have to learn to separate yourself from things because knowing things don't define you. That doesn't define you. That abuse does not define you. Don't let it define you. You are better than that. It is part of your journey, but it isn't your journey. It isn't your whole journey. It's part of your journey. And don't let it define you and hold you back. Value your self worth because it stays with you all the time, not just when things are going well. Don't attach your self worth to what other people say about you. And I know it's easier said than done, but the value that you place on yourself is so important. And it's like I had to realize that I was a common denominator in all of my abusive relationships. So I had to work on rebuilding myself. I had to learn the art of forgiveness. I had to learn that to forgive is victory. You don't forget what someone does, but you forgive because it helps to cleanse your soul and it helps to make you a better person. It's important to be conscious of this every day because people will judge you by what they see of you. You know, hold your head up and know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is always there. And that's why we always ask Allah to help us to see ourselves better, to help us get out of a situation that will keep us down, like a foot on our neck, if you will. So we want to definitely become better in the midst of our struggle. And sometimes, yeah, we go through things, but we can come out victorious. We don't have to stay there. There are 5 helpful suggestions after leaving an abusive relationship. Join an active support group. Get involved in activities of interest. Go back to school, start a business. Become more spiritually connected. Practice positive affirmations and have a can-do spirit. Have an active circle of friends. It is so important to focus on who you are. Use what we call the I statement. What is the I statement? It states the way you feel. Don't accuse other people. When someone does something or they do something to you, you state, when you talk to me like that, I feel hurt. I feel disappointed. I feel like a child. You use the I statement. You talk about how you feel. You don't accuse. You don't say you did this and you did that. You want to use the I statement. Stand up for yourself. Don't let others treat you with disrespect. When someone is treated you with disrespect, you don't say, wait a minute, you wait a minute. No, you don't fight fire with fire. You come back. Excuse me. You may have to be a little curt, but you do it with respect. Excuse me. That was unacceptable behavior. You know, and then you use your I statement. Command respect, but at the same time, give respect. Because you can't accept respect and not give respect. Draw boundaries. Be aware of the limits and address them if they are violated. Once you learn how to defeat negative messages that are a deep part of your soul and take control how others treat you, it is so enlightening. It's like sucking all of the dirt out of the clean, it's like sucking all the dirt out so that the clean air can come in. You pull from the inside to let it out. It's a great feeling when you are in control and can stand tall knowing you have taken back what someone stole from you. It is a powerful feeling of accomplishment. This is how it felt for me and how it can feel for you as well. Now, I want to, inshallah, leave you with 10 simple steps to, oh, well, I won't do that one. I'm going to leave you with some positive affirmations. How about that? Positive affirmations. These are some of the things that you can say. I accept me right where I am right now. I will not allow someone else's opinion to define who I am or will be. I am in control of what I allow to affect or represent me as a person. I am always good to myself first. I teach people how to treat me. I don't treat anybody better than I treat myself. Those are some of the affirmations. And then I gave you a self-love poem, and I want to give you another poem. And this poem is entitled Priceless. Life for me ain't been no golden stair. There's been cracks, tacks, and a whole lot of snares. Priceless. I came through a lot of domestic abuse. For many years, it was familiar and something I became used to. Priceless. I've had to be tough in order to take a lot of stuff. I was hit, kicked, and oppressed and went through a lot of mess. One day I stood up and said, no more of this distress. Priceless. I got the courage to take my life back and put it on the right track. I started to rebuild it step by step and bit by bit. Priceless. Many times I wanted to give up and quit, but I knew I had a purpose in life that kept me strong and equipped. Priceless. Today I stand before you as living proof of what Allah, God, can do. I am a victorious survivor of abuse. Priceless. So, alhamdulillah. And I'll stop right there. And I
Alhamdulillah.
really enjoyed this. Yes, sir.
Alhamdulillah. I mean, we've enjoyed your information, and may Allah reward you for
Ameen.
stepping out and stepping up and sharing that knowledge that someone out there can benefit from, as we know that these things do occur, that they do happen more often than we probably are aware of. So alhamdulillah, we thank Allah for this presentation. So just tell the listening audience how they can reach you. They want to get that rest of the iceberg that's underneath the sea. They want to get that. How can they reach you?
Okay, you can. I have my email address is healthy positive choices coaching at outlook.com. Healthy positive choices coaching at outlook.com. And my number is 469-288-3233. 469-288-3233. And feel free, the website is healthypositivechoices.com.
Okay.
Healthypositivechoices.com.
So is the word healthy positive choices spelled all of it, or is it just
Yes.
is it HP choices?
Yes.
I noticed your email address is HP choices.
Yeah, email. I mean, the email. Yes. No, the email is what is it? HP. I'm sorry. HP Choices Coaching. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's spelled HP and then choices coaching at Outlook.
Okay. Okay.
And with the website is spelled out healthypositivechoices.com.
Alhamdulillah.
Again, and the email is hpchoicescoaching.com. I mean, I'm sorry, at outlook.com. Because I got about 5 different emails. I apologize.
Alhamdulillah.
Again,
And do you have
you
any
know,
social media, Instagram, or you have any of those platforms that you could be reached on?
I also have a YouTube channel. If you go Latifah Hameen, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have some videos on there. If you all, some of my videos on Latifah Hameen, if you put Latifah Hameen, and you can go to my channel. I have a YouTube channel, and I'm also on Facebook and facebook.com Latifah/Latifah Hameen. So I have that. And also, Brother Elijah, I have this Saturday, I will be finishing up a domestic violence awareness. I did 2 days. I did last Saturday. I'll be doing this Saturday on AM 360. You go to AM 360, yes. And so I will be finishing up am360.org. You can go on there. And I'll be finishing up my domestic violence. And I have another one that's coming up as well. I think it's Saturday, but I don't have, that's another Zoom, and you know, all of the Zoom stuff. If you all send me an email, then I will send you the link, because you know, everything is a link with Zoom. So I have to send you the link to Zoom. I'm doing that Saturday as well, and that starts from 11 to 12. So I got 2 things going on Saturday, inshallah. So I'm looking forward to that. So yes, and I, you know, and for speaking, anyone is interested in me coming to speak, please drop me an email, go to my website. You can contact me like that, or just give me a call, 469-288-3233. And again, I want to leave that domestic violence hotline for those that did not get it, 1-800-799-7233. This is for resources and help for abuse in your city. You call that number and they will give you, you tell them where you live, and they will give you a number that's close in your city so you can get some help, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so I had to correct it. I had to correct the number. I had the wrong number on there, so I did correct it. Alhamdulillah. So great. Well, once again, thank you very much. We look forward to having you on again. We want to thank the listening audience for those who tuned in and participated this evening. We want to let everyone know that Sister Latifah was very gracious in presenting this for us. So we will definitely like to thank you again. And we look forward, like I said, Sister Latifah, to working with you again. So
thank you, and I look forward to it. Thank you so much, Brother Elijah. You've been so patient. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, and we also want to apologize for last Wednesday. We had some technical difficulties that caused us to have to reschedule for this evening. So we again want to apologize for those technical difficulties. But I think inshallah this evening went very well. So thank you again, Sister Latifah. I'll go ahead and let you go, and I'll run some announcements for Master Waterford Muhammad and Master Al Quran. Thank you again. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullah. Thank you all, listening audience, as well.
Alhamdulillah. So quick announcements. Our Jummah prayer is Fridays, 1:30 p.m. streamed online on our Facebook and YouTube page. We have our public address every Sunday at 1:30 p.m. Streamed online on our Facebook and YouTube page. And our new Muslim orientation class every Sunday at 3 p.m. There's a Zoom link for that. You can send an email to info@masterwdmuhammad.com for more information. We do have the Sisters Halakha that takes place every second and fourth Saturday of the month. Inshallah, there, I believe there's going to be a Sisters Halakha this coming up Saturday, because it will be the fourth Saturday of the month. So you can get more information about that from our announcements. I didn't have it pulled up readily here, but also please give generously and donate by sending or going to our website www.masterwdmuhammad.com. That's masterwdmohammed.com, or you can send a cash app to $Master WDM. Once again, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to future presentations with our special guest speakers. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.